You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Wake up to the world you've been missing. Time to jump out of bed in the morning. No day, no life, now we're living. Can you feel it in the air that you're breathing? Time to show 'em what you're made of. Let's get back on track. Are you ready for a come on? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Are you ready now? You're lifting off the ground. Welcome back. No coming down. Can you feel it all around? Welcome back.
Well, hello, and welcome back to Super Mega Crash Beyond. I'm your host, Stephen White. With me, as always, my co-host, Lacey Finley.
Happy Monday. Woo woo.
Woo woo! So we've got a very interesting story, or story. There's stories in there, I'm sure,
Yeah, there'll be stories around, sure.
to talk about today. But I want to start things off first by doing a follow up to something we talked about, and I think I've realized something about myself. It's very fascinating because I don't know what the hell happened.
Okay.
Okay, so I remember, I think it was back on our 50th, we talked about that show, The 1%, or the 1% Club or whatever that's on Amazon, the quiz show
yeah.
with Patton Oswalt and the people.
Yes.
You
Okay.
gotta be smart and all that. And I was like, I'm smart, I want to do this. And I got in my head about it, right? Now, for the sake of context, so you have to understand where I came up with this thought about how my brain works, okay?
Okay.
So earlier that day, we've been dealing with a little home owner's crisis. You know, when you own a home, you have to pay for shit when it breaks. It's never fun. Now we had our water heater decided to leak, all over the floor. That's fun.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Because some people didn't put safeties in place to catch the water or anything. It just seeps into our floor, mildew,
Get a pool.
mold,
There you go.
all that stuff.
Oh.
Fantastic stuff. Anyway, so I've been trying to figure that out throughout the week. And, we call not the repair shop, but we're always going to buy it, and they can come and install it, but they can't install it because it's in a little hole, it's not open in the room, it's in a hole. And they're just like, well, we can't get in there without tearing it apart. And if we have to tear it apart, then you could sue us if we break something. So we can't do that anymore because someone did try to sue us one time because we didn't do something properly. So now our business is saying we can't do these installs if it's in a crevice or in a hole, or you know what I mean.
One person ruins it for everyone generally, but yeah.
Yeah. So I decided, all right, fuck it, I'm going to do this myself. I work around water heaters. I understand the concept. I'm going to do this myself.
Okay.
Okay? Everyone thought I was nuts for some reason. I was confident, okay?
Good.
I was confident. I was like, I can do this, okay? I'm concerned because shit can break and things always do, but I'm going to try this. I'm going to do it myself. So I prepped all week. And I get home and I have to tear all this stuff down. I have to get all this stuff unhooked. I have to do all this stuff, drain it, all this. I did it, okay? Took me 5 hours from the time I got home to the time I finished. It was like from 3:30 to probably almost 8:30 that night by the time I was done. But I got it done, okay?
Good for you.
And I got it done in such a way that nothing broke, nothing fell apart. I was able to, it was easy. Getting the water heater in there and installed was the easiest fucking part. As insane as that is, that was the easiest thing. So once we got it in there, situated, screwed back in, I was like, ready, turn on the water, boom, done. And everything was fine. We followed everything to the letter. Even started heating the water it felt instantaneous to me because we went and cleaned up afterwards, and suddenly it didn't feel like it'd been running at least 10 minutes and we already had hot water. And I was like, this is amazing, awesome.
There you go.
I'm happy.
Nice.
I felt accomplished because
Sure.
I had done all this and it looked nice and I got it all put in. So after we got done, tried to go sit down and relax for the evening, okay? Now, granted, keep in mind, it's probably about 9 o'clock by the time we actually get to sit down.
Uh-huh.
For whatever reason, I could not focus. Like, I could not focus, like, trying to sit there and think of a movie or a TV show or something like that, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I can't,
Yeah.
I don't want to watch anything. I don't feel like watching anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let's just go to the bedroom and we'll lay down and maybe find some background noise or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Come in there, sit down, and then I see the 1%, and I was like, you know what? Game show. That'll be great. That'll kind of focus my attention somewhere else. Okay, let's do a game show. So I'll hit play on that, and that'll be fine. Hit play on that. I sit down, and I start messing around on my phone, just like doing a little game or something like that, but while I'm listening to the game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what happened, but from the start of this game till about the 10%, I'm listening to every question and answering them like this.
Nice.
And what's happening, what I realized, is I wasn't thinking about playing. I was just listening, answering, looking up, hearing the answer and going, that. And then going back to my game. Wasn't focused. When I realized what I was doing, I got in my head and I was like, fuck. So
Yeah.
I think what happens is my brain was on overdrive from putting in the water heater. Like it was
Possible. Yeah.
like it was excited about this prospect of doing this big project, and you put it all together and look what you did. Look what you did.
Yep. You created heat.
Yeah, so let's do something else. Let's challenge our brain again. And so this was challenging my brain. It was just like answer. And then I was like, wow, I'm really figuring these out. And it doesn't feel like what is going on here? And then as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, maybe my brain is just like cranked up from doing all that. Maybe that's why I'm getting all these answers. Maybe. And then here comes the 10% question. And I was like, it's a number. I know it. And funny enough, I was very close to getting it because I looked at it and I was like, 5? No. Maybe 1. Let's go with 1. Answer was 5. I was like, fuck! And that's when I knew I got in my head because I said 5.
Yeah.
And then I committed to 1 and I was like, nope, it's too late. I've ruined it.
So you just got to do something very, I don't know, brain heavy before you do quiz shows. Is that what
I
you're
guess
saying?
so.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to crank up my brain and get it going and really working. And then don't think about it after that. Just let it work.
If you know how to empty your brain, do that. Yeah.
I can't. It'll happen again. That's what'll happen is I'll just start focusing in on it, and it's all ridiculous. Anyway, that
Brains
doesn't
are great.
matter.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. What we're talking about today is this is a follow-up to an episode we talked about a few weeks ago. We kind of mentioned something about this where we said, Saturday Night Live movies. That's a thing that happened a lot. And
then stopped, I guess.
Yeah. Which, to be fair, there is one on this list that was fairly recent. And I was like, okay, I guess that could technically count. I mean, I don't know how they are perceived in this regard because there's one missing from this list too that I also feel like would fit in that category. So I'll explain. So what we're talking about today is Saturday Night Live movies. These are movies that would, as I understand it, just based on characters that have been featured as sketches on Saturday Night Live. And then they said, well, hey, this is a great character. Let's turn it into a movie.
Sure. Right.
Does it work?
And then nobody was like, that was a good movie when they were done.
Well, no, I would say, all right. So here's what I'm going to say.
I guess we can start, huh?
Yeah, we're just going to, so just for a generalization, I would say there are at least 4. And see, even in saying that, it feels low. I know that this is going to be...
How many movies did you find? Because I only see like 8.
I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Okay, you're going to have to tell me what the other ones are.
All right. So we'll go down through that list as we go along. So for me personally, there are at least 4 in this list that I would consider very watchable.
Okay,
then
then it must be the ones I'm missing. So I'll wait to hear you say.
No, I feel like you would have these. But
Okay.
we'll get back to it. But at least 4 that are very watchable. 2 to 3 that are passable, and then the rest, I don't know if I could, unless you're wanting to torture somebody.
Or like stupid high, and you're
Or
like, you know
stupid
what?
high, yeah.
It's a short movie. At least they're all like 80 minutes. At least they weren't like, I'm going to beat you over the head with this idea all night long. So at least there's that.
Which I can't imagine any of these movies having potential to be a 2-hour movie, because again, think about the basis of these ideas.
I mean, they only came up with 2-minute worth idea for a skit, and then we're like, oh, let's make a movie from it.
Yeah.
It's like, but you didn't even know how to end the skit. We watched it.
And that's the conceit of it too, is like, what about these ideas do you think warrant a film?
Especially out of all the other characters that like we could have, that probably would have been fun, which I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll talk about later. But yeah, like what was it about that one you were like, money?
All right, so to be fair, let's start with probably
start
the
naming them. Yeah.
2 to 3 that would probably be the most popular characters / movies out of this lot. So let's start with the progenitor of it all. It would be the Blues Brothers, okay?
I don't think that's actually an SNL movie.
But
It's not a skit though. I don't think it counts.
I feel like it does, because they were first featured on the show. John
I
and Dan.
don't think it was a skit from the show. Hold on.
I'm almost positive it was.
Because I was looking that up yesterday to double check myself.
Okay.
Because I thought so too. Because if we count that one, then yes, that is a good movie. But it was just saying it's from the first movie that Dan Aykroyd. I don't want to read the AI version. Hold on, because I don't trust the AI one.
I mean, it says right here, this was a film that stars the 2 of them as characters developed from a reoccurring musical sketch on Saturday Night Live.
All right, I'll allow it, but I don't because since it wasn't like an actual recurring skit, I feel like they did it once and then did a movie.
But again, a musical sketch. So I think that's where it kind of loses, because I think I understand what you mean, because Wayne's World would be a sketch. Like
Most
there's nothing
of them
musical.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would just come out dressed as the Blues Brothers and come out and do a song and dance routine. There weren't actual sketches.
Okay.
Those 2.
So it's just like we just made a movie off of a musical number that they did.
Yeah,
Okay.
us coming out dressed up in black suits and sunglasses and singing and
Because
dancing.
I marked it off my list when I saw that. I'm like, that's not a sketch, so that's not an SNL movie.
I mean, a lot of people would disagree, and I don't know to what degree, if any, because I think this also kind of lends a little bit of credibility to what you're saying, is for most of them that I'm aware of, all of the Saturday Night Live movies are produced by Lorne Michaels. Like, he is actively involved. I don't know to
Or
what
through
degree
money. Yeah.
he's involved with the Blues Brothers. I don't think he was involved at all, to be honest. Like, as far as producing it. So that might be a good argument for you to work off of, to just be like,
I mean,
Lorne
I'm
Michaels
not very
involved.
convicted about it or anything. It was just when I was looking this stuff up, because I was like, oh, well, that was an SNL movie. It had to be, and then I was looking it up. I'm like, this actually, I'm not convinced that it actually is now,
It does feel far removed from them, weirdly. Like know they were on the show, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like it belongs in that pantheon for some weird reason.
See, and maybe this is why too, because there's another article here that was just like, it's a common misconception that the act also originated on SNL, but the Blues Brothers, however, was an independent project of Belushi and Aykroyd, first appearing as an opening act for comedian Steve Martin. And Martin later appeared on Saturday Night Live as a host, and the Blues Brothers appeared as the musical guest. So I guess we all can say we're right, but I feel like that was probably when I was reading that, I went, all right, well, it wasn't an actual conception of SNL.
And that, okay, so we'll
allow it, but
yeah, we'll give this kind of a loose connection, because I think a lot of people do immediately associate them with SNL because of that connection.
They were on it, so I guess.
Yeah, so for the sake of clarity, Laces confirmed. This was not a written for SNL
Sure.
bit. It's kind of like the church lady with Dana Carvey. He has stated that is his character. That is his. So they have no rights to it. It's his to do as he pleases. So the Blues Brothers characters could be Dan and Jim or John's creation. It's probably Dan's. He probably owns the rights to it now. The whole thing.
Yeah, I guess of the two.
Yeah. Him and I'm sure Jim Belushi's got a cut in that too, I would imagine.
You think? Was Jim in it? I'm having a hard time remembering now.
Well, he did some, I guess when they would do tour shows or whatever, he did kind of do a fill-in. I don't know if he was taking on the persona of, hold on, don't tell me. Jake and Elwood. Ah,
okay.
I remember their names. I was trying to remember their names. But no, I don't think he took on the role of Jake per se. Now, I could be wrong. Someone's probably telling me I'm absolutely wrong right now and correcting me. So, by all means, fill us in because I'm not 100% sure. About
I'd have to go back and watch it again. It's been a minute.
It has. So, let's talk about it for a second. So, this, again, we'll say it's unofficially the start of Saturday Night Live.
It is pretty early. So, yes, we're talking 1980.
Or early, if not 1980. Directed by John Landis, who I have a problem with the man for a lot of reasons. I can give him credit where credit is due for being, he's directed some comedy bangers, but that doesn't mean that he's a class act all the way around.
No. Most celebrities are not. We come to find out they're human. Isn't it weird that they're just as garbage and bullshit as the rest of us? It's so weird.
Yeah. I'm sure you know the Twilight Zone movie story that he's responsible for.
I don't know. Maybe.
Helicopter story. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar, let me give you a quick TLDR. I don't want to stick on this for too long, but there was a Twilight Zone movie that was directed by 3 separate directors. You had Spielberg did a movie, John Landis did a little short, and then I feel like George Miller, somebody else had a short in there. Anyway, there may have been a 4th. John Landis was doing a bit about a guy who I think he fought in World War II. He's a very racist piece of shit and whatever, and then he kind of gets put into the situation where he is now looked as the outcast, almost kind of having that kind of racism and hatred and everything's put upon him and getting what you deserve kind of story, right?
Yeah.
And Vic Morrow, he was the main guy in the story. There was a scene involving a helicopter and some a war scene in Vietnam or something like that. I think that was the other thing. Vietnam, not World War II. What am I thinking? Nam.
Yeah.
Anyway, apparently from stories that I've heard, from accounts, behind the scenes stuff, you hear talk to crew, interviews, what have you. Some people who were working with the pyrotechnics and everything, they were just like, make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger. And they were like, no, it's going to be a little dangerous. And they were cutting corners and not doing shit the way they should have been. They were just like, it'll be fine, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. Ultimately led to this helicopter coming crashing down on Vic Morrow and 2 children standing in this water in this scene and killed them all. The children shouldn't even have been there. It was late. They shouldn't have been there. Child labor laws.
Did they have them then?
Well, they were not in the United States. Therefore, that's why they got away with, having the children out there when they were doing it. Anyway, bunch of bullshit. He got off scot-free acting like he didn't do anything wrong when clearly, if you've heard the stories and seen the shit, he did absolutely everything wrong. And then if you've seen the pictures of him in the courtroom with all the shit, he's got this fucking shit-eating grin that he always seems to have. He's just untouchable, and that's what irks me about it. He seems like he had no fucking remorse about this whatsoever. That's where I had my problem with this man. If I had seen him go, it's unfortunate. I feel terrible about this. I'm really sorry. Just devastated that
anything.
Anything. But he just seems like, well, I got away with it. I got to go back to make movies.
Being in the movies.
Yeah, so his attitude is my problem with that man.
Fair.
He always comes off like his shit don't stink. So that's just me. Anyway, but the Blues Brothers, Yeah, I can't remember the last time I watched it. How do you feel about it? Like from what you can remember?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, that one was probably like if we're including it, it is the best one of them all. Honestly, The Hubs, it's like one of his favorite movies. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen it recently, but I can remember when we first got together, it would play a lot in the background because we had like the VHS tape of it, you know?
Sure.
Yeah, we're that old and, or been together that long. But yeah, I just always thought it was fun. I thought Belushi and Aykroyd had good chemistry together, so it made it a lot of fun. And I mean, if you like blues, the music wasn't too half bad either for somebody who really can't stand musicals. I know it's not like a musical, but it is a musical.
It's a musical.
You know? But yeah, I just thought it was a good time. You know, it's not one that I want to watch over and over and over and over and over and over again. But
Right.
you know, and then sometimes it's fun for me to go, oh, I know where they're at when they're like driving down in
Yeah, that's
Chicago,
true.
you know, to a degree. I mean, was 40 years ago now, 50 years ago. So some things have changed, but not a lot.
Yeah. Now, this is one that I don't really have a lot of connection to. Like, to a degree, I remember that I had a friend that recently passed. He always liked to envision us as Jake and Elwood for some reason. Like, he would be the Jake and I would be the Elwood. And I don't know, he just always had this vision like that. We'd I guess, go to cons or Halloween or something as the Blues Brothers. I don't know, but we never did, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's on us for not doing it. But I don't know. I've seen the movie several times, but I don't find myself coming back to it all that often. Kind of like what you said. You can appreciate it. It's good. There's good music involved and a lot of stuff.
And I mean, working. Icons, you know, in the movie.
But at the end of the day, I never find myself always gravitating back to it. And again, I don't hate it. I'm not sure why it doesn't call me back often, you know, because some movies do. I mean, I was even saying this the other day, like really thinking on it. I know when a movie has really captured my attention is because I won't stop thinking about it and I want to see it again. We watched a movie for Horror Ramblings not that long ago called When Evil Lurks. Okay. I had heard that this was kind of a fucked up movie and I thought, all right, so I'm going to watch it and that's that. Watched it, was messed up, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, this was a very, very well-made original idea that I haven't seen. Well, original in the sense of how they approached it, you know?
Okay.
It's demon possession. We've seen that shit, but it's how they did it, how they went about it. And then I had to watch it again because I was like, it's phenomenal because I just want to see what I missed or what little intricacies that I just happened to overlook. And so well made. So that's what I think about when a movie sticks with me that I think is really, really solid. I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I want to see it again. Same with the TV show. Like, if I'm thinking about it, we just watched this show on Paramount called Calling from Accounts. Went through the whole first season. I fucking loved it. Like, there was just something about it. I was connected. Like, I think I connected with the two leads, especially the main male lead, because I think I can relate to him on a lot of levels. Like, yeah, dude, I'm with you. I got it. So I think I don't know, just a lot of connection there. And we got through the first season. Second season hasn't yet dropped by the time we record this. I'm sure by the time this is out, season 2 will be out. But I wanted more. I was like, God damn it, I want to watch more of this. So this is not one of those movies that I always find myself wanting to go back and watch. I will go back and watch it when the mood hits me, but this is not one of those I do.
I don't know that I've ever gone out of my way to look it up. I think it was just always on in my presence. Yeah. And then I was like, okay. So if that tells you anything, I'm like, well, you know, it's on and fine. You know, I don't know that I've ever chosen it.
I do want to give some shout outs to some classic scenes. I mean, we got to talk about the car chase through the mall.
Of course.
I mean, goddamn, that was insanity. You would not do that shit today. Like, there's no fucking way they would be able to get away with that shit today.
I mean, I don't know, man. There's a mall in Schaumburg that I've heard people driving into
Oh yeah.
And like in the middle, and I know that's not Chicago proper, but it is a suburb of, and it's like twice I think I've read that news in a decade. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, not like through, but it would make it like into like a middle area and then wind up in some shop like way in the middle of the mall, you know? It's like, how do you not know you're doing that? Like, it has to be on purpose, right?
Did they set up anything special at the mall where they was at the Dixie Square Mall? Was it where they were at?
They probably had to. I'm sure most of that was just like, I didn't read how they filmed it.
I don't know either. So I'm curious.
I mean, it could have been like an abandoned mall that they did that in. Did we do big sound stages yet? I mean,
I don't know. I
like
didn't
today
know
we would just build it in a warehouse.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't know if they had like a big sign up. It's like, this is where the Blues Brothers drove through.
They do have spots like that they try to market, like, hey, you know, as seen in, I don't wander down that way that much.
But another thing to kind of build off of something else that you were talking about was kind of the amount of cameos and everything that we get. I mean, if you're like a blues
fan.
R&B lover, I mean, all the faces you'll see in this movie, from like Aretha Franklin, Cab Calloway,
Ray
Charles, yeah, oh my God, James Brown.
Yep. I'd have to look it up for more, but yeah, like they weren't messing around.
Yeah, and then of course, like you said, a lot of the cameos that we get. I mean, Carrie Fisher. I mean, she's more less of a cameo, more of a face in the movie,
right?
And then John Candy was in the movie, I think.
Oh shit! Aww.
And Henry Gibson. No one talks about Henry Gibson. I want to talk about Henry Gibson for a minute. Look him up. I know you know who he is. Henry Gibson.
I
love this man on Laugh-In. Like,
yeah. I was gonna say that has to be what I know him from. Because all right, yep.
And I think I was I was first introduced to him probably in some other capacity, but the very first thing I remember ever knowing his voice from was Charlotte's Web. It was like an animated Charlotte's Web, and he was Wilbur. And he's like, oh, Charlotte, oh no. With his country bumpkin ass.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Henry Gibson. And he's playing like a head Nazi in this damn movie. Insane.
That's what they did.
That's what they did. But yeah, Blues Brothers, I'm just going to leave that there. So we're going to bounce to the next film, because think about this for a second, okay? So we said Blues Brothers came out in 1980.
Yeah.
So it took almost 12 years before we saw another Saturday Night Live movie. But this would technically be, if we're going by what you said, this is officially the very, very first one, if you think about it. This is the one that I would consider the best.
Okay.
My opinion.
Okay.
Because you're working with a talented director, Penelope Spheris. She's done, I mean, if you take a look at her filmography, she's done a lot of good, and then there's some questionable ones in there. I'm not gonna say they're all great, and then some may just think I'm being crazy, but I think she's a good director. But I think what also helps with this, and the following two that I'm going to bring up after this, Bonnie and Terry Turner. Now, if you don't know those names, they are two SNL writers who are very, very responsible for a lot of shit that you know. That 70s Show, Third Rock from the Sun. I mean, they've helped craft and create some of the best sketches. They helped create Wayne's World, and along with a few other things like that. I even think they helped. Well, like I can go on and on and on. Yeah. Like they've done
good stuff. They've done good work.
100%. They've done so many amazing sketches. You know their work. You've laughed at tons of their work. Mm-hmm. So they helped craft the story for Wayne's World. Now, Wayne's World is one of those sketches. Again, you wonder how the fuck is this going to work? Because it's just about two guys sitting in their basement. But there is an inkling of something there, because it's like, all right, well, who are these guys? Mm-hmm. Where do you go from there? Because you know they're just two schmucks sitting in a basement doing a public access show.
Yeah.
So who are they? And I feel like even the conceit of their public access, but now they're going to go, they're selling out, if you will. I mean, that would be the term at the time.
Yeah, that they would use. Yeah.
So it's not a bad premise to base it off of. So you have
two
these
leads.
Yeah, Mike Myers and Dana Carvey. I mean, come on.
Like, now that one I will give, like the first one.
First one.
The second one, I don't know what we were doing.
Well, we'll come back.
But
We'll
the
come back.
first one, although I do have beef with it being the reason for the horrible version of Ballroom Blitz. Just saying.
You don't like
Sorry, Tia
Carrera's?
Carrera. Oh my God, it's the most god-awful version I've ever heard in my freaking life. Go listen to Sweet. That's the good What are you doing? Oh my God. Sorry if you love it, but like that hurts my ears.
Why
are you screaming?
When she does her screaming,
it's not even a good beat. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, woman. That song was not for you. You should not be doing that. Or whoever wrote that version and had you sing it, like, nope.
Mm-hmm.
I'm steadfast in that decision. Sorry, Tia. You're probably lovely in every other regard, but you cannot beat Sweet. Not even close. Like, why would you choose that version over Sweets? I don't get it. Why?
If you do pay attention, it does feel like it's a showcase for her singing talent as well. Like, they were really trying to give her a platform in which to showcase.
Did that work? Did she become famous and I missed it?
Not for singing, not at least not to my knowledge, because she did kind of take up acting, and I don't even know where that went. She pops up occasionally here and there.
I'm sitting in front of this box that might have answers.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened to her.
All right, so to be fair, I know I've seen her in some movies recently, but how recently and how frequently, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm going to her IMDb now. Let's see. Okay, still alive. We're on a good start.
I know I saw her in something very recently. I just can't remember what it is.
Okay, a show called Royal Crackers, which she was a voice.
That wasn't it.
Paradise.
Nope.
The Potwins.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Series.
Paradise, is that about gambling?
When corrupt officials cover up the murder of Ella's father, she cuts a swath through the anachronistic underbelly of her small island town.
Okay, that doesn't.
So no.
Because I thought
but it's on
Paradise, and then you say it a paradise. Get it? Paradise.
That would have probably been more fun.
That would have been. And somebody needs to come up with that who's not me and make money off of it.
I'll tell you what, though. Okay, she's been working. I don't know any of this stuff. I've heard of NCIS Los Angeles, though. She was in an episode of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the rest, I don't know. Maybe you have Easter Sunday, Palm Swings as Miss Cherry Bomb.
Maybe that was... No. Palm Swing.
From 2020.
Is that... Who's in that?
Let's see here. Diane Farr, Tia Carrera, Sugar Lynn Beard.
No.
Jason Lewis. I don't know these people.
Nope.
Madison McKinley.
I was thinking of a different one.
Okay.
I'm
like looking at these people. I'm like, I don't even know who they are looking at their faces. Okay. Well, Tia's still around. So there you go. Hopefully not singing anymore. Or at least don't sing Ballroom Blitz anymore, for the love of God.
Maybe not. Yeah. But yeah, Wayne's World, it's a concept that it really blew up at the time. I mean, in all honesty, because they were really hot at the time. They were hot characters, on fire. So they came in, shot this over a summer. I've heard these stories. Like, they had to do this.
What's there to... Come on. Like,
I know. It's just... This is a very short shoot. Like, you can really look at it. You can see how they really sped through a lot of this, because you're trying to do this probably, in 90 days, if that?
Something cheap. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they actually said it probably took 45. And I'm almost positive they did this during their summer break. But I feel like I've also heard stories about them having to scramble and...
Would they have time? I mean, hearing the rat race that is SNL, like, I feel like how anyone has time to do anything else is kind of impressive.
What makes it even worse, and think about it, all right, so this is not a Saturday Night Live movie, so don't lump this is not in our list, but Tommy Boy. I've heard that's another Bonnie and Terry Turner written movie keep their names.
Did they
in
do
it.
Black Sheep too? Then
They did right.
Okay, because those two were actually cute, but I really liked those two actors together. They did well. It's still very unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, they two SNL actors who did not create SNL movies smartly.
Yeah.
in a way. And I feel like that one could also be because Lauren did produce that one too. So that's.
But it wasn't like, I guess, a skit on the show ever, right? Like, okay. Yeah.
It was just two of his boys doing a movie and two of the writers from his show helping craft that movie. So that one.
Those were fun.
Those brought those up. Why did we bring those up? Where are we going with
we
this?
were talking about Wayne's World, and why did we bring it up? We were talking about Tia Carrere, and I yelled about her having ballroom blades. I forget. I'm the worst one to ask. I'm good sometimes to remember what we're talking about in the middle of it, and my brain has to remind me. I feel like roll the tape. Roll it back.
I was trying to remember what it was that we were trying to go off of here because it was about bringing them up and characters and things and shit.
Yeah, damn sorry. The one time we derailed ourselves too hard this time.
I did. I derailed it really, really hard. And somebody's already been like, I really wanted to know where you were going with that thread right now.
True. And we do too. We wanted to know what we were doing. Wayne's World, Tia Carrere.
All right. So
anyway,
Wayne's World, if you're unfamiliar with this concept, a movie that was officially the first Saturday Night Live movie, if you want to be specific, based on characters who were created for the show.
Actually on the show, yeah.
So they craft this story about these two guys who have their own public access show in Aurora, Illinois. And these guys...
Which is not far from here.
It's supposed to be a suburb. So, and then you have this TV executive who's trying to land a big client, which is a big arcade supplier chain? I don't know. Arcade chain. There we go.
Yeah.
Arcade chain. So arcade chain trying to get their business, trying to get them to be sponsors. And so he needs something to sell to this guy. And he sees Wayne's World, this public access show. And he's like, this is the kids. These are the kids. The kids are kids. And we can sell to them. That's what we got to do. So we got to go get them and then give them a show. And then we can just take it over and ruin it. And then, but money. And so that's what they do. They go out, they pitch, they sell the idea of taking their show to the big networks, going to turn it into a big show, and then bam, what do? They gloss it up. It doesn't have the grit of old Wayne's World. Now it's like Wayne's World, Wayne's World, yeah.
Wasn't that it was Rob Lowe too, right?
And Rob Lowe. Yeah, we got to talk about Rob Lowe. This was around the time that he got famous for some other reasons.
Yeah. Well,
what was it exactly that he did wrong?
Was it a sex tape of some sort?
I thought it was a sex tape. I thought there was nobody.
How long ago it's been? Oh, a sex tape filmed with two women. Oh, one of whom was 16 when he was 24.
Uh-oh.
That's bad.
Yep. Okay.
That's bad.
Underage. Bad. I was sitting there thinking underage was a factor, but I wasn't 100%, and I didn't want to speak out of turn.
I don't know why I didn't know that. I think I just thought it was like, oh, celebrities do sex tapes, and well, you know.
Yeah. But he bounced back.
Rob. Ugh.
He bounced back.
Yeah, but now I don't know how I feel about that.
I know. It's
now that I know the info, like I don't know how I made it this long. Okay. Ooh, Rob.
But
could
hey,
fuck anyone, especially Rob Lowe in 92 and 88. He was hot shit. You could have had anyone of age.
He could have had, and maybe he could have been duped. I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying
or
it
they
was.
were. I don't know what is the age of consent in LA, because like you start looking at the age of consent in different states, and you're just like, Jesus Christ. I'm looking at you, Arkansas. 14. Are you kidding me? 14, Arkansas. 14. Who's the governor there? Can you fix that shit? Oh, I'm sorry. You're Arkansas. That's probably family.
Bang, 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 bang.
I know I shouldn't say that, and I'm sorry if you live there and everything, and I'm sorry, but
prove us wrong. This is a solid movie in my opinion. Yeah. This is one that I can go back and watch. Recently came out on 4K. Don't know how many of the others can say that, but that one I do have on 4K and sounds great. Music, that's another thing that works for the film as well, is it feels like a celebration of music because outside of listening to Tia Carrere sing, which
Yeah.
I know you have you do have some pretty solid. You do have some pretty solid tunes peppered around in the movie, but we'll get back to that. Stretching it out a little bit, but yeah, I think it's a solid movie. I think they do all the things that are well known to those characters, but also added some new things that they weren't just trying to stick to the sketch stuff. You know, it's like really evolve these characters and what can you do with them? I mean, Christ, we did the popular Grey Poupon joke. I'm sure that nobody would ever get today unless you grew up in that time.
Yeah, that's true. I
Such
almost
a
forget
dated
about
joke.
that shit, man. It's commercial, yeah.
And the thing about it is, you show that to anybody today, and they're just like, "Why is that funny?"
It's not.
I mean,
it's a you had to be there kind of thing.
Had
you
to
know?
be there.
It's
really.
Some things
honestly.
are just like that. Like objectively, not funny, but since you were there, you know what they're talking anyway. But yeah.
So I mean, again, I think it's a fun time. There's a lot of great stuff in there. Ed O'Neill as the guy who's like the guy in the donut shop. Just the shit he says. Like as soon as the camera starts in on him,
I'd never done a crazy thing in my life before that night. Why is it? If a man kills another man in battle, it's called heroic. Yet if he kills a man in the heat of passion, it's called murder.
they're like, whoa.
Just don't get too passionate, I guess. You know.
I love Wayne's World. It's a great movie. Highly recommend it if you
yeah.
haven't seen it, in my opinion. Coneheads. The next. This one's a one of those that you'd think, one, I'm surprised it took you this long, but I think they needed that momentum from another project for them to be like, you know what, I think, because if you take a look at the 90s, this is when this boom happened. This idea
most
of like,
all of it, like, it bled into the 2000s a little, but yeah, it was
little. But it was that conceit of like everything needs a movie, so we've got to make this is a movie, that's a movie. So they take the Coneheads and turn it into a movie. Dan Aykroyd, this is one of his passion projects, I'm sure, and then they get Bonnie and Terry to come back in on there. So you have good comedy writers. Now you have to kind of create this world of the Coneheads. Now, this is, again, a concept that should work because you have an interesting idea. Who are the Coneheads? Who are these aliens? Go explore their planet. There's a big idea here. Who are these people? What are we going to do?
But they don't.
To a degree. I don't think this is a bad movie per se. I feel like it's a light, easy, breezy comedy that you can just throw on. Doesn't hurt anybody. It's just...
Doesn't require a lot of thinking.
Yeah. It's
at
just
all.
something you can just... It's there. You might get a chuckle out of it. It's fine background noise. Mm-hmm. And I'm not shitting on
and noise
any
they make.
of it.
Yeah. I can't.
You don't like it?
No,
you don't like the Coneheads.
I don't. I mean, honestly, it's like kind of the reason why I some of that kind of comedy, like it just doesn't resonate when it's just like obnoxious. Yeah, like those noises and stuff where it's like you could do a well-timed one, but if it's like all throughout, it's like you burned up your moment with me, and now you just keep trying to relive the one from 20 minutes ago, and it's not working.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see where that could get. I personally get it tickles my funny bone for some reason. Just that.
Yeah, like I said, once or so is fine, but like when they kept doing, I'm like, oh my god, it's gotta stop. But me and obnoxious noises, though, it's almost like you're torturing, like drilling a hole in my brain.
Yeah,
and you just make it stop.
There's a lot of interesting cameos in this film.
No,
I don't know if you
gotcha.
remember that or not, because I felt
most
like
of them too, like more SNL characters too.
Yeah,
they
actors crammed a lot of people in this movie just for like, hey, there's a face. Hey, there's a face. Hey, there's a face.
I think they do that in a lot of SNL movies. They probably need a little help.
Yeah, I'm sure. To be fair, and then you had your main or antagonist in this movie come down to, because we haven't even talked about the conceit of the film. If you've never seen it, the concept is, obviously, the Coneheads are aliens who crash land on Earth. Now they're trying to... The concept was they were going to infiltrate Earth and try to take over. But once they got crash landed, the other aliens decided to turn tail and run. It's like, oh no, they've shot down one of our leaderships or whatever. But Beldar and Primmit, who are the I don't even know if they call them Conehead, but I don't know if that was their
Yeah, did they just make that
not.
their last name?
Yeah, I don't know.
Conehead.
Anyway,
Yes, I'm Mr.
point being,
Conehead.
they decide to live on Earth and kind of blend in, survive, whatever. They say they're from France because I guess that explains your abnormally large head. And people buy it. People are into it. And eventually they start being investigated by, I guess, ICE. I don't know who else that would be.
Like, who else would you call in this situation? I guess it's like the closest thing I could think of. I guess it's like, or the government. I guess just like in general, like army, military.
And in this film, before,
and then in 30 years, we'll pretend it was real and put him in a Tic Tac. I'm kidding. Before someone yells at me about that again.
And in this film, we get to see David Spade doing his David Spadiest with Michael McKean, of all people, which just made that even another returning face to the show, because we talked about him not that long ago. But Michael McKean, he's like doing... I mean, this is his type of role. He plays these characters so well. Just these uppity, asshole-ish types.
Yeah.
And then, of course, David Spade being his little lapdog in the background. Just to perfection.
Good stuff. Yeah.
And then, again, it's like they really wrote to their strengths. And I'm going to assume Bonnie and Terry are the ones who knew who to write for here. Because if you even take a look at Chris Farley's character as the boyfriend, he's... being Chris Farley, yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Just and there was even that bit when they were flying off into space, and she was yelling down, she's like, "I love you, I love you." He goes, "I love you." That's how he was doing it. I think someone was even rolling up a window on him or something like that, but it was still just Farley being Farley.
It's Farley. Yeah.
I love you.
Good old Farley.
It's not. It's not
a terrible movie.
It's not an invasive movie.
One I'm going to watch again.
Right. Like, I throw this one on every once in a blue moon. Like, it'll hit me and I'm like, I haven't watched that in a while. I just want to put it on. It
would
takes
have
me
to
back.
be one of those things where I'm already flipping and go, you know what? And that's how I ended up on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much, yeah.
Like, I feel like this was one of those that I was always kind of playing on, like, HBO or something like that. And
maybe.
It'd be on, and you just, like you said, it's on at the time you flipped over, and you're just like, I'll watch this.
Right.
You know? And I probably did, like, halfway through every single time for weeks.
When was the last time I've seen it from start to finish is where I'm like, I don't know.
So, I could recommend that to a point. And then we go, it's funny that I felt like there were more squeezed in here, but after Coneheads is Wayne's World 2.
Yeah. I don't know. It was more Wayne's World.
Yeah, more Wayne's World, pretty much. You got a different director this time because apparently Mike Myers fought with Penelope Spheris over. This is where I have some concerns about this film, and I feel like why it doesn't work as well. Okay, I don't hate Wayne's World 2, but I can also see the fundamental differences of it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there's something about the structure that doesn't hold the same, and I think it's because Penelope Spheris probably had a very specific vision of what that was, as did Mike Myers. And Mike Myers' vision was not her vision, and that's where they butted heads.
And he's going to win.
And he's going to win because he's the creative of this thing, and it's his thing.
He probably created the characters, you know.
So when you take a look at the humor in this film, it leans a little... Like if you look at Austin Powers, The Love Guru, all those other movies that he actually did have a little bit more control on, this leans closer to those when it comes to the humor.
You could see his influence even more.
Yeah. I think that's where this falls flat in some aspects. Sometimes his stuff works. Again, look at Austin Powers. Those movies work for whatever reason. Then you look at his follow-up endeavors, and they don't. People think they're horrible.
Yeah, some of them, it started to get pretty dumb by the end of the life cycle there of all of the movies he was making. I think The Love Guru was probably when we started to really, it's like, it's dying. It's going. Yeah.
I think people
had gone.
Yeah, that was a wake-up call for a lot of people. It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what are we doing? You're allowed a break, Michael. You're allowed to take a break until you have like a good idea or something, you know.
It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, it's okay to take breaks. Yeah.
So, again, I don't think that he had gone down that bad path as of yet. But, again, his influence over how the jokes went and everything definitely held true in this one. There's some stuff that works. There's some stuff that I don't think does work. It's not as funny, you know? It just depends on what the situation is. I mean, for starters, Christopher Walken, this is probably the movie where I first fell in love with him because I was not very familiar with him at the time. And then, of course, I'm seeing him. I was like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? You know?
Oh, that's kind of funny.
And then his attitude, you know, and they tried to do the... This was one of those jokes that I felt like this is how you do a callback to an old joke from the first movie. So they did the joke in the first movie about where, you know, Sphincter says what? What? Sphincter says what? What?
Yeah.
Exactly. Ha ha ha. So Garth tries it this time. Sphincter says what? And then he just kind of looks at him, you know, with that Christopher Walken. You want me to say what? Like I don't get it. You know? And they're just like, oh, you're smart.
Yeah, you're great. Yeah.
So that was a good throwback, you know, because you rework that joke to kind of backfire. And who better than Christopher Walken to come in here and run this joke?
I had to look up when The Prophecy was, and I didn't realize that was actually after Wayne's World.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, because I was like, we had to have known him before Wayne's World, and then it says Wayne's World 2 is 93, and The Prophecy was 95.
All right, yeah.
Okay,
and he would have
I had it backwards.
And he would have been in Batman Returns before this.
Yep.
And I would have seen him in that, because I think that was the very first movie I did see him in, but I hadn't quite latched onto his face, because he looked familiar to me in some regards, but I was like, who is this guy? I know this guy from somewhere.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I don't know why I thought his face looked familiar. It just did.
Yeah. I mean, he's done a lot, but yeah, like I don't know any of these, you know, since the 50s. Jesus Christ. But yeah, The Prophecy, I think, was when I first really paid attention. So I'm sure, obviously, I saw Wayne's World 2, but it would have, I guess, at the time, just never like, okay, who's this guy talking funny, you know? Like, good find, Mike and Dana. Good find, you know.
And tried to marry old Tia Carrera. Did the whole bit at the the Graduate scene where they doing the smash.
Yep,
that whole thing. A lot of old throwback jokes that I don't think a lot of people would get
no.
like that. But again, I understand. And this is where I was going to say the celebration of music. This is a celebration of older music. Okay. And I don't mean that older in the sense of not of my generation, but I'd say the generation prior to myself and you, like 70s, 60s, 70s rock, because they do Aerosmith. I know they were the big band, I think, that they focused on, because we didn't even talk about that. Alice Cooper was like your big performer in Wayne's World, and then they got Aerosmith for this one. But it wasn't just Aerosmith. His
character was a huge Allison Cooper fan, right? Or was it both of them?
I think they were both Alice Cooper fans, yeah. But here, you had Aerosmith, then I think they had Van Halen, Rip Torn. I know he's not a band member, but just not Rip Torn, Rip Taylor.
Rip Taylor.
Yeah, because Rip Torn, he's this guy right here. You know?
That's a different guy.
Larry, what are you doing here? Rip Taylor, he's like, and he's throwing confetti everywhere.
Yes. That's the dude.
That's the guy. Sorry.
Oh. I don't know. I don't see another one on there, because they named off every Aerosmith person.
There were several bands that showed up at the ass end. I can't remember. But they named them all off, and they were supposed to be the bands that showed up and played it. And then they just played throughout the entire movie, just the songs that they would play. Again, had a very specific, because even the movie itself started with that song, I think it's called Frankenstein, but it just goes sorry. So this was a celebration music, I feel like, but again, when it comes to the humor, I feel like Mike Myers takes over just a hair. Sure. So if some of it, if you don't find it as funny or you find it twice as funny, that might give you an idea on where your humor lands with these movies. Because it is funny, but again, I just don't feel like some of the stuff hits the same.
Sure, yeah.
And maybe
it
even
didn't need a sequel.
Yeah,
most of these don't need sequels. We got it. We understood the assignment right away. We got it.
Because to be fair,
or they did, I should say.
What did you really move the needle on with this movie? Because the other one was understanding that what you have, you can say you don't need it to be this big corporate show. It's perfect as this small little independent little thing. This is where we thrive, and this is what makes this show great. Here you're saying we're going to put on a concert. Why? You're not a band.
Yeah.
Why? There's
to
no
make
movement.
More money, I guess, if it made money.
Even if there was a movement in the relationship between Wayne and Cassandra, but there's not. They break up again, and then they get back together, and okay, there's no movement. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah. There was no point. There was no reason.
Now, here's where we're going to start getting into the fun stuff.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for you to tell me the other two I'm missing here, because
this is where it gets weak. Okay, this is where we get into the.
You're probably thinking Blues Brothers 2000. You have that on there.
Well, it's in there, but we're going to start with It's Pat, the movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this might also fall into that category of not 100% sure if you can classify it as an official Saturday Night Live movie, because this could have been a character she had prior to the show. I don't know that for certain, but I'm just saying there's that possibility.
By that rule, most of these actors do come up with these characters. I feel like that's kind of their deal as they pitch their characters. So it's then how do you decide which one was just the actors then? But if they debuted it on Saturday Night Live, in my opinion, you wrote that character for a skit on said show.
Right.
How I...
Yeah.
I think that's where I was drawing the line, because they showed up as a guest for this, but this was written to do a skit on the show.
It's kind of like...
maybe, I don't know.
Who was it? Father Sarducci? You remember the guy? He's the father. He's come out there with he's on the show sometime. He talking like this. He's a priest. Mm-hmm. You know who I'm talking about, Father Sarducci. You take a look at him. I'm probably not doing this accent very well, because...
Oh... Yeah, Guido.
He was on the show,
Sarducci, Yeah.
Yeah, you also know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And again...
Chain-smoking priest with... okay.
That's right, yes. And he was on the show sometime. So sometime you could say that he was a part of the Saturday Night Live, but he wasn't. Mm-hmm. So he's not a character, so you put him in the stuff, and that's a his.
There he is.
Anyway, I was a terrible Sarducci, I'm sorry. Pat. So let's talk about Pat for a second. If you're unfamiliar with the character of Pat, this is what you would call probably a very problematic character today, even though I don't think that was the intention, but I understand what the conceit of the joke.
And then we look through it with a different lens 20 years later, and we add all of this context it never had initially, because our brains now are going, well, that was terrible. And it's well, that's not what it was trying to do, though.
And I feel like there are opportunities to reinvent this in a different light. But I'm not saying that's what we need to do. I'm just saying that I feel like you could do this character. Mm-hmm. But again, I don't feel like it doesn't work the same, because the idea is this is a very androgynous person. and you're always questioning, is it a man? Is it a woman? And then the sketch would pretty much work around the idea of
playing that game.
Yeah, you trying to get her to say, or trying to get them.
Yeah.
I should say them. Sorry. But keep in mind, if I say she, it's because of Julia
The actress
Sweeney.
is the one doing it. Yeah.
Julia Sweeney is who's performing it, so I'm equating her to Pat, and so if I say she, I'm sorry. But
again, I don't think that's what this movie was trying to do. I don't think it was trying to be like, I am going to be a trans movie or whatever, to be like, that wasn't what it was. I could be wrong.
No,
but I honestly
because
think the whole skit was just based around how uncomfortable other people were because they didn't know, they played on that.
And that should be part of the joke if you wanted to try and do something like this today. Make it more about the person and their fucking problems, not Pat.
Yeah,
Pat's not doing anything wrong.
Very happy individual, very happy in their skin, lived their best life. If anything, that's a great example.
And in all honesty, because you think about that too, we are setting a precedent here and now. If no one else has, Pat is a they. Yeah. At the time we didn't have that. We had no pronoun for Pat, but Pat is a they.
Yeah,
100%. This clarifies everything. You can't ask he or
but we
she.
never knew what they identified as. This was all just us putting it on them because of how they looked, So I think that's why that was all part of the joke. And I know everyone, it's awful. I know, I get it, but it's a product of its time.
It is.
It's a product of like playing with that idea and how just uncomfortable. And it's true. Like other humans looking at this thing they don't understand and they keep trying to make sense of it, yet the person who it is never offering anything to clear it up.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
That was the joke, is how uncomfortable it made other people because they were so happy and they just didn't care how they identified.
And for whatever reason, people needed that answer.
They did.
Well,
that was the skit, right? Is everyone was always trying to get them to like, so if you did go to visit your sibling, you would go to your mom, dad, like they would, you would have children or help make them, like, I love children. They're so great, So that was the point. Is to make you uncomfortable.
And the drooling and everything. That was the weird shit, okay? It's like, I don't know what you're doing here with the...
No. Yeah, and like touching themselves, I did watch the skit for that the other day, though, the one with Kirstie Alley.
Yeah.
Where we didn't know if, mom or dad, that came in and it was, I don't know. I kind of laughed all over again because it was so dumb because Kirstie and Julia just kept going back and forth with each other. And I was like, I can't handle it. Stop making the noise. Stop it.
Now, I will say I have watched this movie one time. We've been talking practically just about the sketch that they've done. But I watched this movie one time and... honestly, that's all you need. Because it's not...
It makes you wonder why they thought a movie. Like, I don't know. Some of these I look at and go, movie? All right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I could have found a whole hour and a half to write about Pat.
And so with... And that's where the movie gets a little weird because, okay, so the concept is that they're trying to establish who Pat is in the world. Trying to find their...
They want to know the gender so bad.
Yeah, they're trying... Like, they are a person in the world just trying to make it whatever. They meet a person called Chris, who they say is a person of indeterminate gender, and it's Dave Foley in drag. So...
Yeah. That's already not attractive.
So... But... I don't know. It makes it so confusing. So now you've got two of them that you're following and they're engaged. And now it just becomes, all right, so now we're following both of these people, trying to figure out who's what and why does it matter. And I think why does it matter?
Yeah. Why it's nobody's business. They're happy living their best lives, not even like ignorant to the fact that it's bothering other people, really. Like they never have those actors acknowledge that other people are uncomfortable or even questioning who they are.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the running thing. I don't know. Like they're happy. Leave them alone. They don't care that you need to know why.
Yeah.
It's
such an odd fucking movie that
really is.
ends with the people in the world. Like, I think there was a concert at the ass end of the movie where Pat was dangling from, I don't remember why, from the ceiling, but their pants got dropped and flashed the entire audience. So they got to see what Pat is, but we just get to see Pat's bare ass. Mm-hmm. So that's where we are pretty much left. We did this movie for no other reason, just to be like, what is Pat? Who knows?
Yeah. And then they never told us. Like that was, I thought, the point of the movie. It's like, we're going to figure out who Pat. Oh, we're not though? Okay. Yeah. Just thank you for that 90 minutes, I guess.
But Pat got married. So I guess that's a thing.
Found love. Did good. Yeah.
It's a bizarre fucking movie. It's
really
bizarre fucking sketch. I could not recommend this because it's just
watch a skit or two if you're really curious and you'll understand the whole premise. It's not more deep than that. It's just not. The whole point is this person is androgynous and how uncomfortable it makes other people. That was the joke in my mind, how other people were reacting to it.
And you're 100% correct. Yeah, absolutely right.
You know, and maybe I'm wrong for saying that. I don't know. But it's like, I did see like somebody on Reddit talking about like it was the worst trans movie ever. And it's like, yes, you're right. Because I don't think that's what it was trying to be.
No,
no. You know, it wasn't sticking up for anyone's rights. It wasn't trying to make a point or anything like that. But I mean, if you identified and it made you happy, great, you know, to see representation. But it's just, that wasn't what it was trying to do.
You actually reminded me of something. Have you seen that trailer? Hang on, I gotta look it up. Will Ferrell is in a new movie or about to be in a new movie coming out. Damn it! I think it's called Will and Harper is the name of the documentary, and it's about there was a writer on Saturday Night Live who transitioned at some point, and apparently they wrote for Will Ferrell a lot.
Okay,
I think his name was. Because their name now is Harper
Steele.
But they were Andrew Harper or something like
so
that.
Maybe, I don't know that I know this person. Hold on, I'm looking in the IMDb now. Of course, it probably would just have it just has Harper.
Andrew Steele, I'm sorry. Yeah, so they wrote under the...
Higgins, Boys, and Gruber in 90, it says as Andrew. Okay, and then... it went to... Ooh.
So they did this documentary called
like
Will and...
very recently then.
Yeah. So
because it's showing 2024 is the first, the roast of Tom Brady is the only thing I see here that says as Harper.
Yeah.
Eurovision Song Contest still wasn't, and that was 2020.
So yeah, this is a recent transition. Apparently Andrew Steele and Will Ferrell were writing buddies on Saturday Night Live. They, I guess, had parted company or kind of kept in loose touch. And then I guess Harper came into Will's life and they reconnected. And then they had this, they made this documentary about the two of them getting to reacquainted or getting to know one another again. And I can't wait to see it because it looks beautiful.
Fun. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing coming out, but all right. I don't follow enough like behind the scenes people. I guess maybe that's my fault. Like you'll say like these directors and writers and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm good to remember actors' names if I'm honest, you know? Like I don't search it for it, but
anyway, sorry to get on that, but yeah, I want to check that out. Don't worry about Pat. Fuck that. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it's not more deep than that. It's fine.
Julia Sweeney's a delight though. But.
Yes. I should look that up. I'm wondering if she's like had to come out and say I'm sorry or something.
I feel like she's talked about it where she has been like, yeah, I know what I was trying to do, but it's not.
Yeah. Anyway.
I know.
All right, move on.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the next film I want to bring up. I'm hoping, I don't know if it's on your list or not. This,
Like
it's
I said, I had 8, and you said you had 12 or something. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
This one frustrates me because there's a great fucking movie in here, and I just don't feel, for whatever reason, and it's sad for whatever reason, because when I tell you who's involved here, you were like, how the fuck did this flop? The movie is Stuart Saves His Family, which is, if you're familiar with, what was the name of the show?
Good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me.
What was it? What was the name of his show?
Shit.
God, come on. Welcome to... Oh my God, why can't we think of the name of the show?
I mean, I'm not surprised I can't.
Daily Affirmations.
That's it. Yes.
Daily Affirmations.
Yeah.
with
And I mean,
Stuart
Al
Smalley.
Franken, before he was a politician.
Al Franken, when he was still doing comedy. And he did, he did some political comedy on there. So, I mean, he'd been doing stuff.
And then we very much enjoyed him in well, whatever. I still think that whole thing's silly. But moving on to Stuart Saves His Family.
So this is a movie based around Stuart Smalley and written by Al Franken, directed by Harold Ramis, who, Egon, if you're unfamiliar with from Ghostbusters.
I just clicked on his picture to see who it was.
Yeah, who has written and co-written a lot of other very popular comedies. Caddyshack, Ghostbusters, Do I Need to Go On? Stripes. So, I mean, dude, this should have been a home run. I don't understand why. I think this is what the problem is, in my opinion. Have you ever seen this movie?
I think so.
Okay.
But like, I don't remember enough of it. Like a lot of these, if I watched it once in the 90s, it was probably very forgettable and my brain will easily move on.
I
Other
think
stuff.
What happened with this movie is it's promoted as one thing, but it is not that. It's meant to be a comedy, and it's very much a drama. There are comedic moments in it, but it's got some deep, dark fucking material, because they're talking about an abusive family. Yeah. Stuart Smalley comes from an abusive family. His father's a drunk. His brother's a drunk. There's even a scene in the movie later where I think the father shoots the brother out on a hunting trip because they were both drunk. Then they have to have this session talking about it. The father will not admit it's deep. It's not funny. And I think that's the problem. It's deep rooted shit, and it's not funny. And I think it throws people off because it goes down a very dark hole of reality, and you're like, God damn.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that's the problem with this film is when
right.
people watch it and they have that negative feeling. It's because I didn't go in. I went into a movie thinking I'm getting a comedy, and I didn't laugh the entire time.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit of a different advertising there.
Yeah, so
and it's still in comedy drama genre.
It definitely leans toward the drama, 100%. But again, I understand there's some comedy in there to a degree. But again, take a look at. I mean, we know Al Franken's a comedian. Yeah. Harris Yulin, he's been in enough comedies. He plays his dad. I mean, you've seen him popping up, but you take a look. I mean, Laura San Giacomo, she plays his assistant. I know she's done comedy, but she kind of dabbles in drama.
I feel like that would have been mostly what I'd seen her in.
And D'Onofrio, I don't feel like he hadn't really popped at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I was just going to say, had he done a whole lot yet?
I know I'd seen him in some stuff because, I mean, I think this would have been this would have been right before Men in Black, I think.
That's what I was trying to think. I think so, because Men in Black was like 99?
Back a little. 97, 98 maybe?
Okay.
Somewhere in there. 97 sounds right for Men in Black.
Right.
So this has been about 2 years
there. Let's
prior.
see, I'm going into the 90s. 90s, Men in Black was 97.
Yeah.
And then Stuart Smalley was 95. So yes.
Yeah. So he hadn't quite. He'd been in stuff.
Yeah, no,
but
he's definitely got some stuff going on here, but I don't know what it is. Alexa. There you go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He wasn't that, yeah. No, Stewart Saves His Family, I just feel like it's a mismaligned movie, all because... I mean, I can't really say that, oh, just give it a chance because of...
Yeah.
It's not...
Go into it with different expectations and you might like it. Yeah.
I genuinely feel like that's unfair to do as well because I don't think they held true to what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, they knew they were trying to make a comedy, but their material was so dark that they tried to just force it over there. And it's like, you can't make this into funny shit, man. This is dark, dark stuff. Mm-hmm. And dark comedies are fine, but you're not trying to make a dark comedy. You're trying to make a slapsticky Saturday Night Live sketch with dark material. Yeah, it's not working, dude.
No. Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it was only kind of a meh sketch as it was.
There were some good ones. There were some good guests and stuff like that. But
I never would have thought, you know what? That's a full-length movie right there.
No, never in a million years.
No, yeah. Anyway.
But I give them credit for at least because the conceit of the idea is like, well, this is a guy who's messed up. What is his family like?
Yeah. Now we see why.
There was a good idea there. I just feel like the execution left a lot to be desired. Speaking of a lot to be desired, Blues Brothers 2000, which we've again established.
Yeah. Don't know if wherever we believe it's canon or not, I don't know.
I'm not going to justify this with any kind. They should have never made this movie.
I never actually even saw it.
You did yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
And again, John Landis comes back. Both of them think that this is a great idea. This is another problem with Dan Aykroyd. I love Dan Aykroyd, but I feel like he wants things to happen so much. Like he's always pushing for a new Ghostbusters film. And I'm like, man, I don't really know if these ideas are all that great.
Yeah. Like it's okay to find a new one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know how people feel about Ghostbusters, but I feel meh about a lot of it here lately.
The original ones were great, but I don't know. I feel like we're just beating that horse. It's like, I don't know. I feel that way with a lot of cinema today. I just feel like we're just over and over again. It's the same idea, different actors, same idea, different actors, I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been excited about a flick in a long time.
I just shrug at them. Like I've watched them all, like the new ones and stuff like that. And yeah, I've got my excitement out of them, but now it's just like, it's whatever.
We get it. But yeah, so Stewart Saves His Family.
Here's a fun one. Night at the Roxbury.
Oh God, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is definitely one. All right, so here's where we're getting into these definitely did not need movies.
Oh God, no. It was basically like two men who would assault women at the club and let's make a movie. Yeah. Cool. Did you see how they would trap them and basically hump them until they walked away? They're physically harassing women. Yeah. And it's Chris Kattan. I can only do him in small doses anyway. I'm sure you're a great human, Chris, but your character's oofta. I can't a lot of the time. And you got Will Ferrell, who's also... Well, he's not Will Ferrell really in this one, though.
Yeah. He's
what I mean by his big, stupid, slapsticky, I'm going to run around naked because it's shock value, Will Ferrell,
Something that he doesn't do anymore. He's really mellowed.
Well, he's getting old. So maybe he's got to, But yes, you're right. He's back to where I can watch him again.
And I think, Katrina's in that same boat because I know that she was in this... I can't deal with this dude.
Not like him. Every time he'd show up, I'm like, I'm just going to be annoyed for about 5 minutes because that's what he does is to be that annoying, I'll do whatever on screen,
Yeah.
But yeah, he's, I think, was he in a show here on Apple or something?
I feel like he was. I don't remember what, but that does.
I was watching that and I went, okay, you're not pissing me off, man. Let's keep going with this arc.
This thing
of Will, because he was also in the Barbie movie, I think too. Didn't annoy the crap out of me, So yeah, I this era of Will, I can deal with so far.
Yeah.
But yes. Anyway, sorry. Night at the Roxbury. That's what we're talking about. Oof. Another big oof.
Do not remember this movie at all. Came out in 1998. Again, about two guys who just...
They're trying to get into the club and get women is all I know, and trying to score. And then I think the movie actually went along those lines.
Yeah.
Where they actually got into a club. Oh, Richard Grieco. Richard Grieco. That's it. Because one of them was like a huge fan of Richard Grieco, and Richard like ran into him with a car or something. So to not get sued, he got them into the Roxbury. And they did find women who were willing to sleep with them, but neither of them had ever done it before. So the comedy is that they're like in their own rooms with their own women and not doing anything but like talking and everything because now they're too nervous to actually do the thing that they've been trying to get people to do with them this whole time.
Gotcha.
And then Molly Shannon comes in, you know.
I do not remember a damn thing that you just said. Wow.
And I
okay.
think that's the whole premise right there is
Well.
they wanted to get into a club to get laid and they did. And then they didn't get laid because they were too nervous or something like that.
Okay. I'll take your word for it because I don't remember shit.
What is love?
Baby, don't hate me. So I'm going to assume that this was...
Did it do any money? Did it make money?
I doubt it. I actually had I don't remember where it went. Aha, yes. So let's go back and recap real quick. These are I'm assuming, final box office stats worldwide for every movie, okay?
Oh, okay.
So Blues Brothers took in $115 million, I'm going to estimate.
Okay. And that's 80s money, right?
80s,
so that's
yeah.
like freaking
80s money.
10 billion today. I'm kidding, but inflation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wayne's World brought in $183 million, which looks to be the highest grossing one out of all of them.
Oh, wow.
So Wayne's
Yeah.
World
Okay.
tops them all.
That has to be making their money back, though, because they could not have spent that much on it. They just couldn't have.
They spent estimated budget $20 million. So hand
That's
over
more
fist.
than I would think you would need. Okay, but yeah, hand over
Blues
fist.
Brothers, believe it or not, actually was had a higher budget at $27 million. But they
See, now
did.
that one I can understand because they got these chase scenes and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. You're like, wrecking things. Like Wayne's World, what are you doing?
The
You're paying
Coneheads.
Tia Carrera to... Okay, sorry. to picture Ballroom Blitz.
The Coneheads had a budget of $33 million.
Jesus.
Only raked in 21. So they took a hit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
Wayne's World 2 was estimated at $40 million.
Okay.
Brought in 48. So not a big return, but a return nonetheless.
Yeah.
It's Pat.
Jeez.
God.
Do not even tell me it more than $1 million to make. Give me a break.
$8 million to make
Okay.
is his budget.
Did it even
$60,000.
Ooh, Jesus. Ouch. Ouch, ouch, ouch.
60.
And they kept making movies after this. Like, they haven't learned their lesson yet. This is quite a few flops.
Stewart Saves His Family. Estimated budget at $6.3 million. 912,000. That's it. Blues Brothers 2000 estimated at 28 million, only brought in 14 million.
Which is the highest so far of the latest flops anyway.
Now here's what happened. Because Night of the Roxbury came in at a budget of 17 million, which sounds incredibly large for this fucking movie.
It does. But again,
But
when you keep putting all these big name actors and stuff in it, I have to feel that's where your budget's going.
Yeah.
Like just for cameos and stuff, like that's got to be expensive. Because like, okay, I'm going back to Night at the Roxbury. Was any of them like big? Michael Clark Duncan. I don't know if he was huge yet. May not have been huge yet.
Yeah, I think he would have been kind of popping maybe around that time,
Maybe starting, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Lonnie Anderson.
Well,
Remember
yeah,
her?
Yeah,
she was
I
a
do.
big deal then. And Richard Grieco was a big deal then. So he probably
I thought-
cost some money.
At that time?
Well,
I feel like
okay,
they're
maybe
80s
not. Yeah,
icons.
sure, fair. Was. Dan Hedaya. I don't know that he would have been that much. He was just big at that time.
Yeah, he was always popping up and stuff.
Yeah, like because he's the Clueless dad. I remember
Yeah.
him from that too. Yeah, when
Yeah,
Stuff
get in
Fest
here.
apparently was okay. Okay, that might have been it. Some of them I recognize as probably big then, but we don't know now. Like Vivica Paulin. Like I'm looking at her face and I'm like, we saw her in so much stuff.
Yeah.
Was she a Baywatcher? Maybe. Hold
What's
on,
her
let
name
me
again?
click on her face. Vivica Paulin, Paulin.
Doesn't ring a bell.
I mean, if you look at her face, I think you would have been like, I know that woman, because she popped up quite a bit. Anyway, sorry. So what were we at? The Night at the Roxbury.
Night at the Roxbury
made no money.
Surprised.
It did?
Actually did make money. It had a budget of $17 million and it made 30.
Oh.
So this kicked off a trend for the next few years for another. It's almost like they had a plan until it backfired. So Night of the Roxbury happened. Then almost a year to the day later, I say a year to a week, because it seems like it was almost the same week or the following week, the following year. Superstar comes out. Molly Shannon and her, who is it? Mary Catherine Gallagher.
Mary Catherine Gallagher.
And she was I think just a
Catholic school student who wanted to be famous so she could get kissed. I think that's the whole premise, is she wanted to kiss someone.
Yeah.
And she thought the only way someone would kiss her is if she was a superstar, because that's what she saw in movies.
Yeah. So
I'm going back to IMDb to remind myself a little bit here. But yes, I think that was the whole premise, because all of them were super deep premises.
Sure. They
Very,
were
very
all
deep.
that deep.
So deep. But again, and yeah, no, God, I had to look at these actors and stuff. It's kind of all coming back to me, because Will Ferrell was the hot jock guy that everybody wanted, because he had on a blonde wig and he was just so hot. And that was who was going to be her first kiss.
But then there was another guy that popped up in there, wasn't there? Damn it, what's his name? Yeah, he's the that guy. He's
No, I'm looking at him. Yeah, I know that guy. Wasn't he even on Saturday Night Live?
No, he wasn't on Saturday Night Live. He was always that guy just playing the weirdo off in the background.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, Half-Baked. That's where I know him from. Okay, because I'm like, why do I know that face? And I know I had seen him in other things, but Half-Baked is probably where I was like really thinking of it. Yeah, I think he was the one that she actually did kiss or something, like the actual like hero dude or something. This was
he's the one movie that I always think of him every time I think of Harlan Williams is a movie called Down Periscope. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, with Kelsey Grammer. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's another one of those movies no one ever seems to talk about, and I just found to be amusing little comedy. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Of course,
something nice, simple comedy.
I can't watch it the same. Well, I can to a point, because they at least give him his comeuppance. This is Rob Schneider and his little ratty face looking ass, and they chuck him off the submarine. I'm like, good, you fucker.
Yeah. Good. He's one I never understood either. And then now I'm like, well, even less so.
Oh, 100%.
Like, oh, I thought you were garbage and you really were garbage?
Hey, come on, guys. Come on.
It's like I can't watch any Adam Sandler movie that I even liked.
Yeah.
I know, they're few and far between, but there's some.
I mean, hey, give Adam credit for at least being a decent human being to give his buddy a job, because that's the only way he's ever going to get on fucking screen anymore. Let me tell you.
I was going to say, I feel like that's the only time I've seen him, though.
So anyway.
Anyway, so Superstar was a movie.
Superstar.
Did it do money?
It had a smaller budget, believe it or not, from Night of the Roxbury. It had a $14 million budget and also made $30 million. So they were like, hey, look at that.
We're figuring it out.
We're making money.
And Tom Green.
Holy shit.
I was flipping through it. I was like, do you remember? I don't remember who he was supposed to be in the movie.
I don't.
But I'm flipping through IMDb and I was like, oh yeah, I remember Tom Green. How people were in love with him for what, like a year?
Yeah.
And then like turned on him fast.
Fucking movie. What was it? Freddy Got Fingered?
Freddy Got Fingered. There was a few that he did that was just like, it was just to make you gross or something, you know? Yeah, I feel like there was another one. Does he even do anything anymore? See, he's another one where I'm like, didn't he marry like
Drew Barrymore for a time?
Yes. Yeah. I was like, what is happening? What is happening? But you know what though? That happens so often.
I think she because she went through several comedians at one point in time. I don't know.
She's had a rough life for a little bit. Yeah. She's I mean, you read more about like her upbringing and everything, and the more sad it gets.
Yeah.
Most kids in Hollywood, is so freaking sad to read about. Like, nobody was safe through any of it. We didn't even get laws for them until like mid 90s, guys. And they're still, had you seen Quiet on Set? Good thing those laws exist, right? Glad they were protecting kids, if you can't hear my sarcasm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey,
but hey,
did you see? It's not equal to, but shout out to our buddy Eric.
oh yeah,
The Harlan Williams character is almost the same as his name, Eric Slater, not Slater. Harlan Williams character in Superstar, Eric Slater.
Eric Slater,
Like Christian Slater.
Oh,
Look at you, Eric. You're almost
Look at you.
name is almost in a movie.
you could do it.
My name is the name of a production designer on Barney, the TV show.
Stephen White.
Yeah, there's some guy. He's a production director or something on the old Barney TV show, and I was like, hey,
Nice.
look, it's my name.
Look
But
at
I'm
me.
taking over IMDb now. God damn it.
Yar.
All right, so here's this one stopped them dead in their tracks for a while.
I think I know which one you're gonna say.
Another movie came out the following year, almost a year and a week later.
Oh, maybe not.
The Ladies' Man,
Oh, okay, that is the one I was thinking of.
on a budget of $24 million, only made 13. How do you,
You know-
do... okay, so now, to be fair, all right, I do want to say that, to be fair. This would be a concept that wouldn't be all that dissimilar from Wayne's World, in the sense that this is a guy who has a show, or Stuart Smalley. This is a character who has a show, and they were like, let's craft this into a movie. Almost makes you think that, why didn't they do what was her name? The other Mike Myers character that he does, Coffee Talk with
Coffee Talk, which is
Linda
what I was like,
Richmond.
how did that not get a movie?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, of all of them, yeah. I'm a little verklempt.
Yeah. Why didn't
I
they do
always
that?
still stole that line. Salt Lake City, neither salt nor lake. Discuss.
Discuss. Rhode Island is neither a road nor an island. Discuss.
Discuss. Yeah.
This was one of those movies where you have a character who had a show. He was a sex therapist. He was not a character I was very familiar with, but I think that was right?
Yeah, I feel like
sex
this was like
advice
the
or something.
time I wasn't really watching SNL either, so I
Yeah.
wasn't like as familiar with their skits. You know, I just knew I know who Tim Meadows is. You know,
But yeah, I don't remember this character being one of his characters while I was watching regularly.
yeah, I don't know. I feel
Yeah.
like I there's a good like 20-year gap there of SNL that I just like was not watching. I don't even really watch now. It depends on who the host is, really.
Sure.
Like if it's a host I want to see, I'll watch. Outside of that, I will watch Please Don't Destroy, because why are they not making you movies, SNL? Because those are glorious.
Well, we'll get to them in a minute.
Okay. But yes. So it was very hit or miss. I probably watched it in the 90s and then stopped. And then now it's like, it just depends on who's on.
I love Tim Meadows. He's one of those people that I love seeing pop up everywhere. Like,
Did
when
I
see
tell
him, I'm
you
like,
that I'm very convinced I saw him at the airport?
You did, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember you telling
I'm
me
very
that.
convinced it was him sitting there. And I'm like, I'm not going to be that person and interrupt them because clearly, but yeah, I looked at the hubs. I'm like, that's Tim Meadows. And he's like,
Yeah.
I think you're right. And then he got up to go do something and then we never saw him again. I kept waiting for other people to go up to him to confirm it because I was like, that just has to be. If not, he has got the closest twin imaginable running around at O'Hare Airport.
Okay.
Anyway, but yes, Tim Meadows as the
Yeah.
ladies' man. I did not see this movie, by the way, so I don't know. I'm familiar with the concept of it, but I never saw the movie.
I feel like I did rent it at some point because I was aware of the character and I was aware of him, and I just said, fuck it, why
Why
not?
not?
And tried. I couldn't tell you shit about it. I couldn't tell you anything about this movie whatsoever.
Although I see Eugene Levy's in it, so there might have been
Really?
one bright spot. Said he played someone named Bucky Kent.
Huh.
And
Interesting.
Julianne Moore? Tiffany Amber Thiessen? See, this is what they do.
Yeah.
This is where your budget goes because you need all of these big actors to get butts in seats.
And it just
Like
don't,
every movie's got a few. that I'm just like, you paid a lot to get. No, I don't know if Tiffany Amber Thiessen's like celebrity, but like, you know who she is. She's been around a long time.
She's a
and
name.
then Will Ferrell, and that doesn't surprise me because he was in, I think, all of them except for the ones I guess he wasn't around yet for.
Yeah. I can't. I don't remember this. Keep this in mind. This is the one that kind of put the brakes on them for a decade. Okay, it's probably a good reason no one talks about it. I don't think about it. I don't remember it. I'm not gonna recommend it to a soul because why would you? It wasn't funny. I don't remember laughing. I don't remember a damn thing from the movie. I know I watched it. I just can't remember shit. This one I do remember though. Very vaguely, but I remember at least there was some funny stuff in there, and that's MacGruber. This is one that came out. We got Will Forte.
I remember it as a TV series, though. Did they do a TV series?
They
for
did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which
Very
seems
briefly.
like it should be a solid concept, honestly.
Should be.
Out of all of them, you could, like, so much to pull from.
Yeah, because we're doing, what was it, MacGyver, but what if insane shit just never works?
Well, it was just always like, from what I remember, like him and Kristen Wiig were always in some like basement looking like thing with a bomb that was about to go off in 60 seconds. It's going to go off in 60 seconds, MacGruber! And then he's like, hand me the, I don't know, gum wrapper. You got it, MacGruber! And then he would go on some like, moment of chatting and like, oh, but we've got 3 seconds. And then he's got this whole thing and then the thing explodes and then you do it all over again. So it's like he was never successful at taking care of any bomb, but they've all survived several.
Yeah. So many.
Mm-hmm. They even had MacGyver on the SNL. And then every time he did something, MacGyver! And then they would go back to MacGruber. So he named him MacGruber MacGyver.
MacGruber.
I think that was what his name actually is. Yes. So anyway, I don't think I saw the movie though.
I do remember watching it. I don't think it was all that bad. Like maybe
I
would have.
Seemed would be the fun one.
Yeah, because there is a solid premise here. It's just like you do the MacGyver thing, but with an incompetent fool. And you just kinda,
super smart. He just can't execute anything.
Right.
Like he knows how to do it. He just never does because he's too distracted.
You just play with that concept. And I remember there was just some like they really took the opportunity to do something I don't feel like all the other SNL people did. And that is you have the freedom to take this to another realm. So go for it. And they took it to the R-rated play. So let's just fucking go for it and do some insane shit. And they did. Yeah. I think it's a fun little, if there was a fun one to have, this is the one that actually gets to do it because they don't have a big budget, but they get their money's worth out of it. Okay. Did not make its money back, unfortunately, but came damn close. It was a $10 million budget and got to 9. It was like just shy.
Oh, see, I thought that one would have, I don't understand things then.
I don't either.
Because the ones that did make money, I would have put money on that it didn't. And vice versa. Like MacGruber, I would have thought would have made something.
Right.
Well, what about the TV series? What was it on, like Peacock or
I think
NBC?
I think it was a Peacock original, but I think it was, don't hold me to this, but I feel like it was one of those series that they did early on. It might have been initially when Peacock started. And they were just like, we need a tent pole show. So MacGruber is going to get a series, and it was like one season.
I think it was only one season.
They were just like, no, we're good.
Thank you. Yeah.
So it was enough to kind of kickstart something, but it just never went anywhere from that point. But I do, if I'm not mistaken, it was a follow up to the movie, so you still had a through line.
Oh, okay.
So almost like a sequel series or whatever. But I never watched it, and that's because I just didn't.
Oh, okay. MacGruber 2010, MacGruber TV series 2021. That's a big gap.
Yeah.
And there's a MacGruber 2 placeholder here, which is me a little scared.
Okay.
The continuing misadventures of bumbling former special ops agent MacGruber. So we keep losing money, but they keep making it.
Hey, if Will Forte wants to keep going for it, I'm here for it.
Will Forte's the only cast member right now in there. So this could be fake for all I know. I know people can put IMDb stuff up on their own if they want, but it is there.
Well,
it is there.
Keep our eyes on it.
With a director, Jorma Taccone. Did Jorma do the other one?
Jorma did the first one.
All right. Well, then we might have a second one at some point in the future.
So I'm glad you brought him up because I'm gonna bring up another film that I feel like should be on this list that is not, or at least not the list that I have.
What was the other? I'm like, you've named all the ones I had, so now
I've
I'm
got
confused.
one more that is on this list, and I can see where it falls in place. There's a film that I feel like should be on this list because this other film is on this list. The film I feel like is missing is Pop Star, Never Stop Stopping, which is unofficially the Lonely Island movie.
Never Stop, Never Stopping or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was funny, but I like Andy Samberg.
And that was what I would consider the Lonely Island movie because it was made by all three of the guys. They seemed like they had their start on SNL. Like this is where they formed. Now, granted, they could have done this independent of that, like the Blues Brothers. We've talked about that. But again, that's why I go here to Please Don't Destroy. The Treasure of Foggy Mountain is listed as an SNL flick. They are a group on the show.
Yeah.
So why does the Lonely Island doesn't fall in?
Rule.
Yeah. Where's the rule here? Because why does that not fall into the same category?
I feel like for the intents and purposes, if it was a skit on the show, written for the show that got turned into a movie, in my mind, that is an SNL movie. Because that's where the idea came from. That's where we saw it originally be concepted as. I don't just because the actors were on there or something. You know. So that for me is where I draw the line. Now, whether that's the real rule or not, I don't know. But to me, if you created the character to showcase on SNL and then it got turned into a movie, to me, that's an SNL movie.
Gotcha. So how would this then fall into, how would the Please Don't Destroy guys movie fall into that category? Because I feel based on the facts that you laid out, this should not be classified as such.
Yeah, you're right. They just kind of work for them and then make movies for them. Yeah, then I guess it wouldn't.
Now, have you seen?
Was these not all the way through, believe it or not. I remember I keep starting it or something, and then like the hubs comes home and he's already seen it. So I just try to be nice and I go fine, and then I forget about it. And now it's been so long that I just never remember to go back to it.
I watched this, I think, I know it's been a few months ago, but I was working on a puzzle and thought, you know what, I want to pop this on and listen to it and maybe kind of watch it as I go, and we'll see. Because I'm not familiar with them. I don't watch the show. I didn't even know that they were a group on there like the Lonely Island at one point until I think the Please Don't Destroy Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Until I saw them on, they were on Conan promoting this movie because he's in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'll give it. He was talking them up pretty big, so I was like, all right. And I remember you mentioned them one time, and I was like, oh, I don't know who these guys are.
Well, they do, like, I think on SNL it's like a 2-minute movie thing each week.
Yeah,
so,
they do the bits, yeah.
So if I ever even watch anything for SNL, it's usually like I'll always watch that regardless, because usually theirs is always just, it's funny. Gotcha. They come up with the most ridiculous situations, and it's usually always with the host that they write in as, of course, is like the main person. And then it's just some really dumb situation that host probably would have never been in, but the host is playing it as themselves. So I don't know. I recommend binge watching their videos because they're hilarious. These three guys, I hope to see them do more. I hope this was like their start because I think they're brilliant. I don't know. If they're the ones writing all of it, it's really fucking funny. Yeah,
100%. I mean, the film, I enjoyed it. Like, I got a few good laughs out of it. So I've been wanting to kind of go back and rewatch it.
I need to. Yeah. Get it finished all the way through. Because, like, again, it's another one of those where it's like, roll out the red carpet for all of the actors that are in it. Yeah. And some not. Usher.
Yeah.
Nas. Carrie Underwood. Questlove. I don't know who that is. Chris Redd, which is, I know he was on SNL. He may not be anymore. I don't know. Joan Cusack. Maya Rudolph. Cusack. I mean, Tim Meadows. It's like, we know them. And Sarah Silverman. And then, of course, Andy Samberg. It's probably not an SNL movie, but a good movie nonetheless.
Yeah.
Was Lonely Island created on SNL?
Well, that's what I don't know. Like, all three of the guys were Saturday Night Live writers. They were on the show doing the videos and everything, like Dick in a Box and Jizz in My Pants and all that stuff on the show.
And I threw it on the ground. That's my favorite one.
That's
and the boat one too. I'm on a boat.
Yeah, I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat.
I'm on a boat.
So I feel like there's
got them all in my head because now I like remember the Michael Bolton.
Yeah, Jack Sparrow. This is a tale of Jack Sparrow. So the idea, the concept, I would assume, based on the timeline, all this seems to fit together like that. Like they did create all that. But again, that could have been done independently. And they were just like, hey, Lauren, we're doing this thing over here. But if you would showcase it for us, we would be appreciative.
Sure.
I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah. That would have been a good one to invest in.
Yes, 100%. But
did it make money?
I don't know. I didn't. I don't have the stats for it. Just the last one I've got, like I said, was the Please Don't Destroy. But that was a Peacock movie, so it not gonna make no money.
True.
Or at least none that we really know of.
Yeah. However, their advertising stuff works, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I felt like it was a fine movie. I didn't feel like it was. I've seen worse. Like it was a fun little comedy for what it was, for what they were doing. This would be the way to kind of do, like, not that they need to. Not that they need to. But I was going to say, if you wanted to do Saturday Night Live movies, keep them small, keep them simple, and do it like this. Put them on Peacock, and that way you kind of have it out there in the world. And if you have to do this, if you have to scratch that itch.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Then here you go. But again, I don't really feel like they're not all bad movies, but I don't think the world would be any less if some of them didn't exist.
Yeah, no, totally. None of these made some real mark in cinema. Maybe I don't know.
Again, I'll give credit to Blues Brothers.
Yeah, okay.
And Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, first one, yes.
At least for being those movies that are trying to do something or culturally significant for whatever reason, because they are products of their time, if you think about them.
Well, 100%, yeah.
So they have that. The rest,
yeah, no.
I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, out of all of them, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
I've done it. We've been there with the exception of a couple. I think the only ones I hadn't seen was The Ladies' Man and MacGruber. I never saw those two.
And I think we've just clearly stated that there are really no good. There are, how to put it? I guess when people are just like shrugging about Saturday Night Live movies, there's facts to back it up. That they're the percentage of good to bad is much more bad than good.
Yeah, totally. And then it's like, I know we were thinking about maybe talking about like some of them that should have been, because if you think about it, especially now that we understand even greater the force that is Bill Hader, by the way.
Yeah.
The most amazing human as far as like, I don't know. I love him so hard, especially after Barry, when I could see he could do it all. I'm like, you're my favorite actor almost in the entire world right now. You can do it all so well. But like Stefan.
Yeah.
I feel like just because it was Bill, you probably could have had a decent movie there. So another one that was probably just fine for a once through, but he's so funny that I can't imagine not smiling through a good chunk of it, because just even how he did Stefan. Now, I know you'd have to have Seth Meyers involved, because wasn't that the whole thing, was that Seth Meyers was writing for him, but they would never tell him what it was going to be, which is like half all the time when you see Bill like covering his face, he's like, he's about to break character. And then he like gets himself kind of together long enough to say whatever the joke was on the teleprompter. But could you imagine like just doing that to him for a movie? I don't know. I'd watch it. I just feel like, how did that not become a movie? But, you know, Coneheads did, you know, like what? Or, yeah.
There's one. I don't even know why we didn't think about this. The one that did get away, but they have turned into a podcast, So if you want to go listen to it, the Hans and Franz movie. This was a thing that was going to happen.
Oh, it was going to happen.
Going to happen. Like, there was a process. It was in the process of happening.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're unfamiliar with Hans and Franz,
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, look it up. It's
Like
two
a talk.
bodybuilders who
You
talk
walk.
the talk but do not walk the walk. That's pretty much the conceit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they'll tell you how strong. Look at my big muscles. Look at all this. How are you, you little girly man? But then, do you ever see them work out? No.
It's just in like muscle suits.
Yeah, they just talk bullshit all day, but I guarantee you they would run in the other direction of heartbeat. So, Conan O'Brien, oh God, what's his name? The guy that does the dog, Smigel, Robert Smigel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care for the dog.
I know. He's an acquired taste. So the two of them, and then of course Dana Carvey and Kevin Nealon, they had come up with this conceit, this idea. This movie was going to center all the way the fuck around Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Of course. I figured that's the inspiration for these characters in the first place. Like, and they make no attempts at hiding it.
But it was, they even discussed this as they were talking about it on the podcast. They were like, we wrote it so much around him that's probably why it didn't happen, because like he was game for it. That's the funny
Arnold,
part.
he would have.
Yeah. He would have done it, but it was the conceit that we have written this movie around him, like he's supposed to
His
be in the entire
personality,
thing,
basically.
not a cameo. Like probably should
Oh.
have, like you should
They were
do.
legit writing the movie like with him being
Like
the
he
main
was just going to be
protagonist?
in the movie with the other two guys, like the entire way
Oh,
through.
yeah,
And-
I don't know about that.
yeah, exactly. And they thought about, like, as they talked about it, it was like, this is probably why it didn't happen, because look at, there was too much of this and this and this, and we
Yeah.
probably should have scaled it back some,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. And again, with your budget to pay for Arnold for an entire movie.
At that time.
Oh God, right? Yeah.
At that time when he was hot, you know? So what they had done is they did unearth this script. So there is a podcast episodes that they did a few years back where they read through the entirety of the script, narrating, doing the bits and everything. So you can get a visualization of this movie. Not going to say it's a great visualization, but one nonetheless that you can kind of picture in your head just how they read through it. So if you want to hear it, it's out there in the ether if you're interested. But yeah, that's one that was going to happen at one point. Could have been pre Wayne's World, you know, it could have been the first one to really kick off.
Yeah, I forget how old that Hans and Franz are. Yeah.
Hans and Franz.
Franz. I was like, as soon as I said it, I'm like, why did that not sound right out of my mouth? Hans and Franz.
Yeah. And then even like, shit, I'm surprised they didn't do a church lady one. Think about it.
Yeah. I was thinking that church lady, you could have that whole background with her too, how she became the church lady, all that kind of stuff. I mean, kind of like how they did with well, I'm trying to look at it here. Like, I guess Superstar was kind of like her etymology.
Oh my God. The cameo opportunities you could have had in that. You could have had the church lady in Superstar. Come on.
Oh my gosh, I'm kind of surprised they did it because I do believe Molly's character confesses quite a bit in a confessional.
Yeah. Think
So,
about
yeah,
it. That would have been
think about
perfect.
it. Oh man. Okay, but one that I truly believe should have, and it probably would have been hilarious in my mind, the Californians.
Yeah. Yep. Come on. Yeah, that would have been a good
Come
one.
on. Especially when you look at the actors like Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader and all of them that were in that one. I would watch that for an hour and a half. Not two. Not
No.
2 hours. Hour
90
and a half.
minutes.
80
That's
minutes.
enough.
Maybe 80 minutes. I'll give it 80 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. But yeah, like that skit I thought was just hilarious because each actor commits so well to the situation that it's hilarious. And I don't know why that hasn't happened.
I would venture a guess that it would probably be very, very, very difficult to film because we've seen them break on camera so many times.
But I mean, it's film. You would just cut and you do it again. It's not live. You know?
I know, but trying to get through it and
It's
not
hard.
crack.
Sure. But just have fun and just have fun and do it, you know?
Yeah.
But yes, I do remember them like turning quite a bit because, I mean, Kristen Wiig and Bill Hader together are just kind of glorious. Like I've seen them in a couple of other things together, and it's just well, we were just talking about it. I don't know, whenever with the mannequin movie with the song that's at the end, they did like a whole singing the song to each other little skit thing that was just like I was folding like a lawn chair. It was so great. Those two were amazing together.
Didn't they do a romantic comedy together?
I think it's from that. Actually, let me look up the name of it. I think it's actually from that movie.
Because I was trying to figure out what that movie was the other day, and I could not for the life of me think of what it is, and it was driving me up the wall.
Of course, I'm probably spelling his name wrong. Good job. The Skeleton Twins? I think it was from that, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
I'll trust you on that.
Having both coincidentally cheated death on the same day, estranged twins reunite with the possibility of mending their relationship. So not a romantic comedy.
Oh, okay. So just a comedy.
I hope not.
Or
I guess it could
be.
Not. Yes, I think it's actually from that because I'm looking at it here and I think that was what it's from. But it does say romance. I'm confused. Romance with who though?
Yeah, let's hope not between each other. That would be kind of weird.
Are they like to make them twins is kind of funny too.
Yeah.
Family is a cruel joke. I'm gonna have to go see this movie, I think, so I can just know what's going on. I know I've seen that section where they're singing with each other and everything. That's so glorious. If this world come out as lovers, we'll still have each other. Nothing's got anyway. But yes, the Californians, I think, should have that would be mine. And then the only other one I would say is and I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the name of the skit, but the Delicious Dish for the chocolate salty balls and dusty muffins. Yeah. I feel like if you did a Wayne's World, you could do a Delicious Dish. I mean, you probably missed the opportunity with some of the actors now. Like you couldn't do it now. You should have done it then. Or even Matt Foley. I'm surprised they didn't do one with him, especially with Chris Farley being so hot at the time, just following the dude's life down by the river. I don't, like.
I would almost bet that the concept was out there, but it just never got very far. Like they just couldn't quite crack that nut because I feel like I've heard several times that there was a point in time at SNL where they're like, you got a new character, that you can get a movie out of that. So if you can get this good character, so everyone was trying to write these popular characters we can get a movie out of this. Like the Gap Girls. Why didn't they have a movie? So you can get a whole bunch of guys in drag just running around and going, oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway.
So that's it. I think we did the whole thing. I don't know. Did you have anyone that you thought should have had a movie? Or did we
outside of the ones that we were really talking about? Not really, because I mean, you take a look right there in the 80s and 90s. That's when characters were really, really starting to pop. They were really trying to settle in. Everyone was trying to come up with something new. I know Adam Sandler had quite a few, but I always give him credit for not trying to force those into films because he did just go off and do his own thing. Now, do I think Billy Madison is like a piece of comedy cinema? No, I don't. I feel like it's not funny at all.
No.
I just don't. But I love Happy Gilmore, and I'm really sad that they're making a sequel.
Are they really?
They are currently in production right now. I don't want a sequel to it because it's just not going to be as good. But I feel like this is a Hail Mary. We need a sequel to something popular.
Well, I don't know. Does he have like a movie deal with Netflix again? Is he just like hurting for the 7th film in his contract or some shit? Because isn't he the one who does that where they're like, let's sign him for like 5 films?
Yeah.
I feel like there should be done by now, though. Hasn't he made them all?
You'd think.
I feel like I've seen them pop up on Netflix or wherever it was.
I like Adam as a person, but film-wise, I've really never cared for his movies.
Yeah, no, his is a humor that doesn't resonate usually with me either. It's another one of those like very silly, like you have to kind of dumb it down kind of thing. To each their own.
Yeah.
To each their own. But yeah, there's very few of his where I'm like, that was a great movie. Now I don't know if he wrote this one though. The what's the murder mystery one on Netflix with Jennifer Aniston? That was cute.
I don't know. I didn't look into that.
And it was only because I saw Jennifer Aniston was in it, and I'm like, well, okay. And they actually have pretty good chemistry, Adam and Jennifer. I was kind of surprised. They play husband and wife in it.
I feel like I did hear that that was pretty solid.
They did too. And the sequel was fine. It wasn't as good. I mean, if you're looking for a movie and you watch it through once, you won't be upset about it, but it was definitely not as good as the first one. Murder Mystery. Oh, it's just called Murder Mystery? Well, there you go. I'm like, what's that murder mystery movie that they did? It was called Murder Mystery. So I can recommend the first one for sure. The second one was fine, but the first one I thought was fun.
Okay.
Jennifer's really good at comedy. People forget.
Sure, yeah, no. I can believe that.
I mean, well, the Friends, she's hilarious, so I think a lot of people now, it's so removed because she's done a lot of drama, and so when you see her again doing comedy, you're like, dude, that was her roots though. Like she was a comedic actress, and I've said it a billion times. Comedians make the best dramatic actors because what's hard? Comedy, not drama. Drama is easy to act.
That's what I've heard.
So... Well, I mean, most really great comedians I've seen cross over into dramatic acting. Fucking glorious.
Well, I mean, that's all I got to say about Saturday Night Live movies. Really much else to say about them. There's a handful out there. Don't know if we could recommend them to you or not.
Did we recommend any of them? I don't know that we did. Wayne's World, maybe, if you have.
Wayne's World and Blues Brothers.
But I feel like everyone would have seen that probably by now anyway.
Well,
it's a 50-year-old movie.
Remember our audience. They're all over the map. So not everybody.
True. That's true. That's
not
true.
Everybody. So.
Well, then if you're never heard of it and you're interested in a old movie that was fun, then yes, Blues Brothers. Check that out. It's kind of a culture thing now at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just one of those staples in our American cinematic culture or whatever, and music and all that.
There you go, siblings. So if you've seen any of these movies or if you're thinking about seeing any of these movies, if we've ruined ever watching any of these movies for you, let us know on social media at Super Mega Crash. If you want to send us an email, you can do that at supermegacrash@gmail.com. You can support us over on Patreon. You can give us a 5-star review of your favorite podcasting app like Apple. And keep up with all things over at pencilpaperproductions.com/supermegacrash. Links are in the show notes down below. Join us again next week, siblings. But until then, steer clear of those 90s flicks and go beyond your limits.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.